What's up, guys? Welcome back to the MSR Workshop. So today we are going to be doing an unboxing of this Yeryork leaf and stick mulcher. I hope I pronounced that right. Now, this product was sent to me for review, but all of my reviews are my own opinions. So let's get this out of the box and let's see what it can do. Alright guys, so let's get this Yeryork electric wood chipper and shredder out of the box. So a few stats on it really quick. It weighs just a hair over 19 pounds. Comes with a 45-liter bag below, and the motor spins up about 4,000 RPMs, and it is a 15 amp motor. So right there, that is the pusher for your sticks and leaves and whatever you decide to shove in the thing. Now, it does not come put together, but I found it very, very simple to put together here. Very, very brief and basic manual, not a lot of instructions on it, but like I said, I didn't have any trouble putting the thing together. So you really don't need a super detailed manual unless you're just not skilled at putting things together. Comes in a very nice bright green color. Those little hooks on the sides are for hooking your bag. Just giving it a look over, right at the front there is where the leaves and mulch and whatever comes out. You have a knob right there that opens the top up to get at the blades to change them. There's the other wheel there. I'm going to set that on the ground here so I can finish taking everything out of the box. This is one of the legs to support the thing. And inside the bag here, you have little fancy green hubcaps, which is kind of a fun little touch that they put in. They didn't really have to put those on, but they did. And then it comes with a great big Allen key for taking and tightening those bolts down. Also, I would assume that Allen is nice and long for changing out your blades, so it keeps your fingers out of the way. Here's your great big reinforced 45-liter bag. It's got some handles on the side. Also, those handles hook onto the side of the machine on either side to keep it from tipping over when you are putting mulch in it. Because there's a fair amount of air movement, it probably would blow over. Continuing on with the assembly process, the only tool that you'll really need to put this together is a Phillips screwdriver and maybe some scissors to cut these zip ties that hold the axle on to put the two wheels on. So just taking the protective plastic off, you'll have a left and a right side. So when you set this thing up, you want the feet on the bottom with the little caps to flare out, not in. So one goes left, one goes right. You'll want to go ahead and grab the axle here, and you have that big Allen key. So go ahead and take those nuts off from either side. And once you get it off, there is kind of an axle or something that you slide off. So you put the wheel on through this little axle, make sure it spins. But you're going to put the axle through, making sure that the leg is flared out. And yes, there was a little bit of trial and error, but it's easy to see where you've gone wrong. Then there's a little notch that goes up against the metal, and that keeps you from messing the metal up at all. The wheel then goes on there, and this is where you put that little bolt back on. And there is a locking screw on it. Or excuse me, locking washer, and just tighten that down. You don't want to over tighten it, and then it just made sure it spun easily. And there are 3 tabs on either side of this little hubcap. And then it just clips right in, makes you have a nice shiny green wheel. Very cool. And we are just going to rinse and repeat with the other side. And once you've done this once, it goes on there. Well, if you're like me and can't remember what you ate for breakfast, you might have to try a few times, but it was pretty simple. Get that screwed on really quick. Give it a couple twists. Make sure we're still nice and loose, and pop our little hubcap on. Next, we just laid the machine on its side on the table here, and took out 2 screws, one on either side of these underneath, and that is where your little cart is going to slide up in. And you'll notice right there, you don't need to back them all the way out, just enough that the screws are not poking out into the little hole that those posts are going to be. And then on the metal cart itself, there are 2 holes in the metal that the screws will screw into to secure it so it won't just fall out when you pick the thing up to move it. Now you're going to take the cart and you're going to push that into the holes. And then thread your screws in, and you'll know if your screw holes don't line up because you'll notice that it's not screwing in all the way. It's just to make sure that this thing is screwed all the way down. So now we've got it all put together, and it's time to go ahead and open the thing up so I can show you guys the blades and the motor mechanism inside. So you just keep turning this little knob on top, and it takes quite a few turns actually. So just keep doing. Obviously don't have it plugged in when you do it, and it's hinged up and it opens right up here. So here is the inside of the machine and the housing for the motor. So you've got 2 large heavy-duty blades. They're actually quite thick. I was surprised. Didn't know if they're going to be small, thin, like say razor blade style blades. But they are double-sided. So one side gets dull, you unscrew it, and then you would flip the blade over so you have a fresh cutting edge. So you basically get double the life on the same set of blades. So let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. So first we had to put the bag underneath, and one thing to take in consideration is because it is a bag, on windy days that bag tends to want to blow off, unlike a bin underneath. So you just take the handles, hook them on those 2 hooks on the sides, and then put your plunger, shover, whatever you want to call it, up by the machine to get ready to go. So went ahead and plugged the machine up, and I grabbed some sticks and went ahead and flipped the machine on, and as you'll notice, the machine is not super loud, but my bag did try to blow away because I've got a little bit of a breeze outside and there's nothing in it to hold it down. Once you get some chips inside, it's not so bad. So it's got a hard rubber kind of flap at the top just to keep people from sticking their fingers in there. And this is me trying to shove everything down. Now because these were fairly light and then my bag blew a little bit, not all of it ended up in the bag and some of it kind of blew back at me. So here's a handful of the first set of mulch that it made. And actually it's pretty decent looking mulch. Now these aren't heavy sticks or anything. These are just some from my peonies that are at the end of the season. But next let's go ahead and grab some branches and take a look and see what they do. So let's take a look and see what we got. So I was actually quite surprised on how nice this mulch looked. Um, did struggle though actually getting the branches down inside the machine just because of how small the hole is. So here's the type of leaves that I get to deal with every year. And they cover my little yard in my cul-de-sac, even though I don't have a single tree in my yard. But we're going to go ahead and try some of that bald cypress mulch that gets all over my yard from my neighbor's tree, thank you. And let's see if we can get it down this tiny little chute. And it does not go in very well at all. I really don't recommend this for leaves or brush or anything like that. It's just too tiny to put it in there. So really quickly, let's take a look at these maple chips that I made with the dried out maple. Did a good job chipping them, just had trouble feeding them in. All right, guys, let's talk about this Yeryork shredder and chipper. First off, let's talk about the things that it does well. It does chip very nice mulch. You saw in those little planters that I dumped that leftover mulch, and that was, I believe, maple that I had chipped up. It was dry, it was not wet, so it made very, very nice sized chips for this. The unit is very, very quiet. It's not very heavy. It can easily be put in the back of a car or a small vehicle, so you don't have to have a truck to move it around. It does have a heavy-duty plug on the back, and it's protected on the sides, which is nice as well. And I believe this is a clip, so you can run your extension cord to this and keeps your extension cord from plugging out. If you'll notice when I start this up on the audio, if you can hear that, it is a soft start motor, so the motor does start up softly. It has got two blades inside that are double-sided, meaning you have two blades that are actively cutting. When those blades get dull, you'd loosen two bolts on the top, flip the blades around, and you do have two fresh blades. The cart is nice. You have a little storage handle on the side for your hopper pusher here. And yeah, the overall fit and finish of the machine is nice. Now let's talk about the parts that I don't like, and there were unfortunately quite a few. This is marketed as a shredder. your hopper size, and let me double check on the top. Is a grand total of 6 inches, and the max width is right around 2 inches. So you have a 2-inch wide by 6-inch wide slot to fit everything that you want in here. With, first off, the leaves. You saw how many leaves I have in my yard. There is no way that I could effectively or easily shred leaves in this thing. There is no funnel to put the leaves in. I have noticed that there is another one online that looks very much the similar as this one. It's just rebranded, but it does have a funnel on the top. That way you could pile on stuff that you want to shred and easily mash it down, kind of like you would with a blender. You get your little masher and you shove it all down in there. This little shover is very narrow as well. It would have been nice if they put a little flare on, say, either side that fits down in the slots. That would make pushing stuff in a lot easier. This was okay, not very effective. Next, on the limbs and the sticks that I put in there, unless you have everything cut down into perfect little long pieces, they do not fit in the chute. The problem is you have a branch that Y's out. It doesn't fit in there because it's staying out and it's holding itself from the chute. So it makes feeding stuff into mulch very difficult, or for the shredder very difficult, because of the such small opening on the top. That being said, this is not a product, unfortunately, that I recommend. Would I go out and buy this? Absolutely not. Now, is there a few niche people out there that want to just make their own mulch? This unit isn't very expensive, so if you want to make your own organic mulch for, say, your planter beds or stuff like that, somebody might like this. But if you have a lot of limbs or stuff that fall off, say, in a windstorm, you are going to have to prepare every single branch in order to fit in this machine. If you're going to go to all that trouble to cut everything into little pieces, you might as well just cut it into little pieces and throw it in your trash can, unless you specifically want it for the mulch. Even though it does have good qualities and it does make some great looking mulch, the difficulty of using it with the size of opening that it has makes it unusable for me. If you'll notice some commercial machines out there, predominantly the big gas ones, they have a huge wide funnel. So you're putting wide branches in, the machine kind of grabs it and pulls it into the mulcher, making it much more usable for stuff like leaves or small branches or even bushes or whatever that you pull up out of the ground. You just chuck them in there and it just shreds the bejesus out of them. There's no way you're going to shove anything more than a few small branches in here. If you guys want to know more about this product, I will leave a link in the description below to the Amazon webpage that this is being sold at. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or if you own one, let me know what you think. With a few modifications, at least a bigger opening. I mean, if they made a big round opening, yes, I could see the danger of that. You stick your hand in it, but the big ones have the giant openings with warning signs all over them. If they could open it up just a little bit, I could see this machine being much, much, much more usable than it is in its current configuration. Until next time, guys, thanks again.